This program is brought to you by Emory University.
A lecture on nature
and practice of compassion.
Nature
and practice of compassion.
Now, it is quite clear when we look back last, even I think a few millenniums, it is quite clear. I think at least 4,000 or 5,000 faith already exist or start on this planet. So people, whenever they face some difficulties or tragedy, they always put hope on some mysterious things. Whether you call God, Creator, or some spirit, like that. Then last about 200 years, science, technology developed. That really fulfilled, I think, many human beings sort of wish. Immediately produce. So through prayer, just to wait, just to hope. Often you see hope become empty hope. But with help of science and technology, really brought these sort of concrete results immediately. So people put faith, technology, science more and more. And eventually, whole our life relying on material values. Then 20th century, really, I think, most sort of the important century of human history. In that history, in that century, also become, I think, century of violence, immense violence. According to some historian, more than 200 million people killed. And including like nuclear weapon. In Japan, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, these two places, wait, they do this, they do this, Rampage, Korantoya, okay. Round the Trimshi today. All day. Yes,
Tibetan translation.
So, of course, I received many teaching from him. So now, in the front of my teacher, my guru, now I am Kazoda, as they show
my knowledge.
Kazoda,
my knowledge.
How good scholar in English his student. Fortunately, he doesn't know English, so in his eye, oh, Dalai Lama's English seems very good, but actually not. So the nuclear sort of the physics, actually one of the great achievements. And also later what you call Newton bomb. These, I think, very great sort of achievement through scientific sort of that.
Purely from scientific point of view.
Scientific point of view. But these great achievement in science and technology, instead of solving problem, but create a lot of destruction, a lot of suffering, a lot of fear. After Second World War, I think at least the European continent, I think several decades remain fear. So what's wrong? The science and technology itself, no wrong. Marvelous, very important. But thing is, user, science and technology use for constructive way or destructive way, does not depend on science and technology itself, but user, we human being, not other mammals. So we human being finds as a day's new invention, marvelous invention. So since some of these inventions brought a lot of sort of suffering, therefore now up to us. You see, these achievements should not become destructive way, but should be constructive way. That depends entirely on human being. So human intelligence, not just guarantee. No guarantee. Intelligence, you see, finds these things. The intelligence with anger, with hatred, with greed or jealousy, then these become destructive. These things is guided by a sense of responsibility for well-being of others. Then these will never be destructive. So later part of 20th century, people begin to feel this limitation of also the material value. Some, even some billionaire or millionaire, say their personal sort of belonging facilities are excellent. No need to worry. But mentally, a lot of worry, a lot of stress, and often use tranquilizer, like that kind of thing. Therefore, now even in China, those wealthier families, many of them now showing interest about spirituality. So therefore, it shows limitation of material values. So I think that's very, good sign out of humanity's maturity.
Experience.
Right.
Experience.
So now this is 21st century, beginning of 21st century. More and more people now showing interest about inner values. So, of course, all major religious traditions still, I think, provides millions of people hope and purpose of life. Very good. But frankly speaking, not adequate, because quite a large portion of now nearly 7 billion human beings not much interest about religion. And quite often, you see, people who have no interest about religion, they also usually is neglected about these inner values, like compassion. So therefore, now time comes. We must find ways and means to educate the whole humanity, like universally. If the method to promote these inner value based on religious faith, then it becomes narrow. And also, you see, the second question, what religion, what faith? So more complications. Like India, as 1,000 years, that nation remained multi-religious nation. So naturally, according to their circumstances, the modern, I think 1,000 years, India has some sort of the idea of secularism already there. So because of the circumstances, you see, it compelled, you see, that kind of, sort of attitude is necessary. So now in the terms of 7 billion, about 7 billion human beings, we must look multi-religious faith, multi-culture, including non-believer. So we must have some kind of also the secular way of approach these inner values. So it is really encouraging. Some now universities, some scientists, not as a believer, but they carry, whether it's an individual believer or non-believer, but their work, nothing to do with faith, they scientific sort of what's the research. So now more and more scientists, the medical scientists, and also the social science,
social science, neuroscience.
Even I think economy field. Also now, often you see economists, some experts, some scientists, they refer the relation, economy, and altruism. And medical science, certainly, physical health, mental health, healthy body, healthy mind. And the social sort of, in the society, more compassionate family, much happier. So more compassionate community, much happier. Oh, quite clear. So therefore, now actually, you see some of these university, actually, you see some, they are sort of what's the
research.
Their research work. Now, last few years, now actually, the city carrying now. That's a very, very healthy sign. Now, including this university. Yesterday at the airport, when President and some other people received me, so at that time, I expressed, I'm very happy now return to my university. Of course, the reality, my contribution is nothing. Like that. So now my lecture here about nature and practice of compassion. I may tell this way, these flowers, from Buddhist viewpoint, no mind, no consciousness, only matters. The matter also have, the two capacities. One, kasota, take the thing which help their grow or their sustenance, their survival, like water. The root have some special sort of the ability to take water. And I think certain sort of protein from earth. And then flower also and leaf also have the ability to take lights or some other things. They also have the certain sort of chemical the ability to defend themselves. Now in human body level, also I think same chemical system. Now, usually we call sentient being. On top of these chemicals, there is another element that we call feeling, mind or consciousness. So within the consciousness, also you see the two things, different and receiving,
something attracting to oneself.
So anger, fear, actually part of defend oneself. When some threat, the fear brings precaution. And then anger brings sort of additional energy to defend oneself. And of course, I think the best way of defense is offense. So anger brings offensive.
Response.
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 Like that. Then compassion is the emotion which brings positive things for survival. Because again, the desire. Now compassion is that I think biologically speaking, lowland, because of low level, the compassion, those things which useful for one's own survival, you love them. That's because of the
very basic level,
biological level, affection or compassion. So compassion in sense of closeness feeling and something feeling, also that feel nice. One level. So obviously, I think for human being or other animals also, I think although these both anger, fear, one category, another affection or compassion, love, these another category, these both part of their life, but dominant force for life is affection. Our life, very life, start and grow with affection, not anger. Now, the biological factor, body level, constant anger, fear, very bad for our health. Compassion, very good for our health. Now, the medical scientists also now saying these things. And our own experience is quite clear, quite clear. The anger, fear disturb our digestion, our sleep. On the other hand, more compassionate, affectionate sort of atmosphere, much more happier. So dominant sort of force, whole our life, from the birth till death, affection is the real
factor,
real factor,
real force.
more dominant sort of force. Anger constantly come. And also look, anger with affection, less, I think, less danger. Anger with real hatred, then really dangerous. Now that's a biological factor. No need training, no need meditation, nothing. By birth, that capacity is there. From the birth, the seed of intelligence there, but we never contented just, you see, the potential of the knowledge. But we make every effort to further promote that, cultivate. So, education system developed 1,000 years, since 1,000 years. So that means we recognize the potential and necessary to further nurture and increase. So poor compassion, we don't sort of making that effort just for take for granted. That's a mistake now. Our intelligence grow with our effort. And that knowledge, intelligence itself, also it can go with attachment, desire, anger, hatred. So, with that, education, awareness, intelligence, sometimes help, that also is a help to grow aggressiveness and also making because of discrimination and the habit of take advantage. Intelligence knows how can I utilize, manipulate, exploit. So intelligence also, intelligence alone is sometimes additional sort of the source of problem. I think in ancient time, people, of course, small population, then the lifestyle also quite simple, maybe less desire, more contentment, and on top of that, religious faith. And some extent, make more balance. Now, modern time, population much increase and life become more difficult, too much competition, and also more desire, more discontent. So these may become fuel of aggressiveness, suppression, violence. And religious faith occasionally come, but not that much serious. So that's the source of problem which we are facing. Many problems which we are facing is essentially man-made problem. Due to, it is not due to lack of knowledge, but you see, due to negative emotions. So negative intelligence directly cannot be counterforce of these negative emotion. Of course, intelligence very, very helpful to develop positive emotion, but intelligence itself not so direct counterforce. So now counterforce these destructive emotion is loving kindness, these things. So seed of compassion already there. Like you see, seed of intelligence from the beginning there. But we pay a lot of effort, we pay much attention and much effort. So intelligence much grows. So similarly, pay more attention about the seed of compassion, and then some sort of nurture through awareness. It is very possible. So the first level of compassion is limited, biased, so limited, and very much mixed with attachment. The second level of compassion is unbiased, objective, and that comes through training of mind by reasoning. So intelligence help to bring that kind of compassion. So compassion, nature of compassion, there are two levels. So the practice mainly, I think, education. This is my field, as far as the secular ethics, because of the compassion, part of secular ethics, only through education. So education itself, a form of analytical meditation. So the knowledge, what is benefit for shorter term, longer term. And everybody wants benefit, right? So some of these emotions, if you keep these emotions, like compassion, there's immense benefit to short term, long term. Short term, immense benefit for body. Long term, your whole life become more meaningful life, more useful life. Never create problem to other. After all, our lifespan about 100 years, very short. So it is senseless, short period used for trouble for other, or create more problem on this planet. It's meaningless. And also, we are social animals. So each individual's future entirely depends on the rest of the community. Or individuals' sort of future depend on others. So like farmer or nomads, The nomad's life depends on animal, so they take care about animal. The farmers, their life depends on farm, so they take care about the farm. So similarly, as a social animal, one individual's future depends on the rest of the community, so we have to take care. That's the source of our own happy life. So many, I think, many negative emotions actually short-sighted, narrow-minded. The more positive emotions are more holistic and with reasons. So the intelligence always go there, with there. So that's about my talk. So I think the secular way, I think the way to practice, in my own case, they use reasons, awareness. Usually I use three points. I make 3 points. 1 point, according to our common sense or common experience. That means everybody come from our mother. So at the time of our young age, generally speaking, we receive immense affection from our mother. That experience, I think, in early age, I think that experience is really absorbed in our every single cell. So that remains rest of the whole life. And obviously, we see those children who received maximum affection at the time of their young age, their mind much healthier, much calm, and the intelligence also, I think, function normal way, and their body also grow normal way. Then those children who receive also the very cold lack of affection. Or worst thing is as they abuse. Then their mind, deep inside, sense of insecurity, unhappy. So that experience remain in deep inside whole life. So that's our common experience. Then common sense among monks in the monastery or lay people in town or
in villages and towns.
In town or village, those individuals who in their home always see as the affection sort of atmosphere, no matter wealthy or poor, very happy, much happier. And those family, a lot of money, a lot of power, a lot of fame, but within the family, no affection, no compassion. In deep inside, very unhappy. So, if you judge, and now scientists also, they found those young monkey, who remain with mother, much happier, playful, those young monkeys, separate from their mother, always fighting. Very bad mood. We also same. So affection. And then also, you see, we are social animals. Any social animal work together, live together. So anger is just the opposite force to reverse.
Divide.
Huh?
To divide.
Divide. Loving kindness bring together. So therefore, we are social animal, and social animal need genuine cooperation. Cooperation, not by force, but by volunteer, that is healthy cooperation. For that, trust is essential. Where there is affection, trust comes. Where anger, suspicion comes. No possible develop genuine,
Trust.
Friendship. So, in order to build real social animal, full of cooperation, full of trust each other. Now, therefore, by nature, I think even animal appreciate honest, truthful, showing something, doing something different. Even animal dislike. We human being, no question. So that means we are social animal. So therefore, we need trust. So trust come transparent, honest, truthful. So that also very much related with warm-heartedness. If you respect other, there is no room to cheat, to tell lie. There is fear, there is anger, always possible. Saying differently, showing different face. And cheating, all these things happen. So therefore, that's common sense. Then the third scientific sort of finding, as briefly I mentioned, the more compassionate mind, their physical health better. And also, some scientists even mentioned to me, the constant fear, anger is actually eating our immune system. Whereas more compassionate mind, very helpful to sustain immune system. So these scientific finding. So use these three things. We can teach. Right? We can bring more of interest about practice of compassion like that. The practice means make familiar. And these ideas become part of our daily life. In order to do that, making familiar, repeat, and then occasionally also see useful to look other sort of problem, other suffering. That also helpful. So basically, these positive emotion with reasons are much more stable. Without a reason, just a familiarization, not necessarily very, very helpful. So reasons are, because this intelligence, reason is very, very essential. So investigation, analyze. So that's, I think, main practice Then those believers, on top of that, I pray to God, and that's also very good. And then according to those non-theistic religion, such as Jainism and Buddhism, then think law of causality. That's also very useful, you see, to develop conviction. I should do good. I should not do bad. Once you really convince everything due to its own causes and the conditions in the causal level, you say action. Usually we call karma. Karma means action. So verbal action, physical action, mental action. And every day, every moment, cause, effect, cause, effect, cause, effect, go like that. So, according to that sort of philosophical viewpoint, then if I do harm other, I will get negative consequences. If I do good to other, I get benefit. So like that. So, finish, complete. So now some questions.
Maybe
If there is some time, then some questions.
maybe we could have some questions from the audience.
Your Holiness, why is our enemy our greatest teacher?
For practitioner, this is not speak. I think those people who really seriously sort of practicing sort of also the compassion. The compassion, just direct opposite of compassion is anger, hatred. So, in order to reduce anger, hatred, you need patience, tolerance. So, for that reason, in order to practice of tolerance and patience, you need someone create a problem. Of course, as a Buddhist, or one Christian, there's no possibility to practice patience and tolerance with Buddha, with Jesus Christ. No. Only those people who create sort of irritation.
Problem for you.
Okay.
Problem for you.
Problem. So therefore, we need practice of tolerance, of patience. So we need opportunity, practice of that. That opportunity creates not yourself, but your enemy. So from that viewpoint, whether, have you seen the Shantadeva's book?
Have you seen Shantideva's book, Guide to the Buddhist Orthodox Way of Life? Yes.
Oh, then why you ask this question? Then Shantadeva's book, 6th chapter, very detailed explained. Good. Thank you.
I have a question. The state of affairs with China now. How do you practice compassion on a daily basis with that situation and what they've done?
Yes. There is more reason feel concern towards perpetrator rather than victim. Victim side, already one chapter closing. The perpetrator just create one new karma. So they have to face long-term consequences. So there is more reason to feel concern for them. So that's the way to keep compassion or sense of concern of their well-being. Of course, these also, same human being, they also have the right to overcome suffering. So out of their ignorance, out of negative emotion, they deliberately creating these causes. So there's much reason to feel concern. The victim side, as I mentioned earlier, one chapter of karma closing. So no longer any consequences like that. And I myself, practice, take and give. Visualize some of these people, visualize in front of me, and practice take and give. Meditate on kindness and give. Meditate on them, karuna, compassion, take. It's very useful. Useful in the sense, not something solving the problem, but emotional level, mental level, immense benefit. Next question. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for coming. My name is David. You said that when people don't have affection, when they're young, when they're children, it creates pain, suffering for the rest of their life, a gap that will always be there. So I'm wondering, through compassion meditation, through some other technique, whether it's possible to overcome that, to heal those wounds, or whether they'll always be there.
I think possible. Possible. Although the important period, most important period, lack of this sort of affection, but later we can provide maximum sort of affection, care. There is possibility, to
rectify this.
This also, I think, one field, the further research.
This is something that needs to be studied.
Of course, from Buddhist viewpoint, of course, there is very possible. And especially, Zomni Leg Sans, Chedula Sav, Semel Mia, Duodra
For example, from the Buddhist theory point of view, there are understandings of various types of karma or action which you may have created at the beginning part of your life, but later, its immediate effect can be felt, but that also can be reversed. So from the Buddhist point of view, yes, it can be rectified.
Good. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Holiness. My question for you is, if you had lived your entire life until this moment as a mute, and you only had one moment to speak, what would be the message you would share?
It's a silly question. Of course, it depends on the circumstances. If that occasion, at that very moment, feel very hungry, then say, "Oh, I want some food." What's the next question?
Your Holiness,
You spoke a lot today about the challenges of the last century. For Americans specifically, what do you think is the greatest opportunity that we have to be compassionate to each other and to the world?
That I don't know. Really, I don't know. I think our work, with the help of scientists at these few universities, we simply, the addressing for humanity in general. No. So fundamentally, American also a human being. We are same. Sometimes the people, prefer big sort of distinction, east, west. I don't believe that. We are same human being. Emotionally, mentally, physically, we are same. And then the basic problem is also same. Of course, we born same way. And the way of death, same way. And I think American, maybe is due to your food, it's more weight. Thank you.
I am a police officer. I see a lot of evil in this world. My question, sir, should I have compassion on evil?
Now you should know the sense of concern, of well-being. That affection should include those mischievous people, as I mentioned earlier, perpetrators.
Perpetrators of the crime.
Perpetrator. Then immediate sort of response. Then, if the other very much violent, then you also need using force. No contradiction. Out of sort of sense of concern of their well-being, long run, stop their negative action. There is no other way except using force. Very right. Okay. So the anger that due to different previous motivation, some angers positive, some angers negative, as well as desire. Some desire positive, some desire negative. So when you heard, we should provide, should extend affection, compassion towards all sentient beings, and particularly enemy on these kasota. Was it a negative person?
Negative people.
You should
make the distinction.
You should know the more detailed the mental system. So no problem. There's no problem. Now I think one example, we Tibetan, about our struggle. We never forgetting about compassion. And as I mentioned earlier, those troublemakers, we deliberately visualize them and deliberately generating compassion. That does not mean we are not opposing their action. Now here, we should make distinction, actor and action. Action is concerned, we have to oppose. The actor is concerned, we should not lose our compassion. Like that. I think one's own sort of case. If you see something, some wound, something, it's really danger to spread your whole body. So then, action is surgery, cut. It's violence. But that violence, for sake of one's own life, similarly the other, in order to save their long-term interest, long-term benefit or future benefit, you see, try to forcefully stop their wrongdoing. No problem. Okay. Thank you. Next.
My name is Manla. I'm from Ladakh. I am a researcher. My interest is immune system. But I kill lots of mice, kill animals, but I feel bad. I believe in Buddhist philosophy, but I have to kill for my interest. What should I?
Yes, generally, in medical science, research work, they have to use animal. If we say all this must stop, that also, I think, impractical. So, they firstly minimize because of the experiment on animal. Minimize what?
Minimize.
Then secondly, when you carry the experiment without other choice, then take care their life. Some animal, like dogs or guinea pigs, you see, they treat it like just article.
Objects. Just like objects.
Without sort of compassion, without sort of sense of caring. It's quite terrible. After you see they experimented, and just leave it. And I saw a picture, and at some occasion, some organization, you see, because animal rights
organizations.
So their publication, really terribly. It's some dogs. So that, I think, again, extreme. So we must. I think one time in Mongolia, Che Yamzu knows one traditional sort of way, or sort of traditional or some kind of sort of lunch party. So sometimes they have this sort of tradition, the sheep sort of head put in the table.
On the table.
So then I sort of my sort of
my remarks, opening remarks.
My thank to the host. Of course, I thank. Then I also express, we must thank this sheep. He or she used to provide his body. So we must remember that. So animal, those, you see, they provide us the basis of experiment for larger benefit. So we must feel gratitude. And then, as a Ladakhi, as a Buddhist, while you carry this sort of experiment, recite like Om Mani Padme Hum and think it's sort of future life. So that's the only way. Like traditionally, I think last 1,000 years in Tibet, those people, particularly the nomad, you see, they have to carry, you see, they kill animal. But each time, you see, they put some butter lamb, and they recite some mantra, and the animal to be killed gives some blessed pill. So, not sort of killing just because of that.
Without any feeling. Without any feeling, without any regard.
So that's, I think, only way. Thank you.
This will be the last question. Yeah.
Your Holiness, how can students learn about compassion besides asking our professors for higher grades? Or how can universities teach their students and the whole community what compassion is?
Actually, you see, as a result of more wider contact with a modern sort of education sort of the institution, it become clear that in modern education system, the part of moral ethics are lacking. That's clear. That's why, you see, I always, you see, sharing with people, now in education system, the moral ethic must include, so that from kindergarten up to university level, there's some education about moral ethics, not through religious faith, but through sort of what's it, using common sense and a secular way. So, say some people, some sort of expert, already working some further research work, is how to introduce a modern education curriculum about this moral ethics. So I myself, no idea. We only sort of notice it's lacking. It's very highly necessary, but they making sort of practical program that I don't know. There's some, you see, people already, you see, they working now. For example, last year I was in Montreal.
Montreal.
Some university, Montreal area, some teachers training. They carry some program, teachers training, is how to introduce moral ethics in their education sort of today.
In schools.
Schools. So now it is quite encouraging. You see, more and more people now really showing their concern. So I think within a few years, I think some kind of concrete sort of plan, I think may come. But otherwise, of course, the society, among the students, say in the school or university also, you see, they certainly some individual, I think difficult.
Yeah, it's very difficult to bring in all of a sudden by one individual.
Good, thank you. Appreciate.
This program is brought to you by Emory University.
A lecture on nature of
nature and practice of compassion.
Nature
and practice of
compassion. Now, it is quite clear when we look back last, even I think a few millenniums, it is quite clear. I think at least 4,000 or 5,000 faith already exist or start on this planet. So people, whenever they face some difficulties or tragedy, they always put hope on some mysterious things, whether you call God, Creator, or some spirit, like that. Then last about 200 years, science, technology developed. That really fulfilled, I think, many human beings sort of wish. Immediately produce. So through prayer, just to wait, just to hope. Often you see hope become empty hope. But with help of science and technology, really brought these sort of concrete results immediately. So people put faith, technology, science, more and more. And eventually, whole our life, we rely on material values. Then 20th century, really, I think, most sort of the important century of human history. In that history, in that century, also become, I think, century of violence, immense violence. According to some historian, more than 200 million people killed. And including like nuclear weapon. In Japan, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, these two places, wait, they do this, they do this, ramp okay. Round the trim today. All day. Yes,
Tibetan translation.
So, of course, I received many teaching from him. So now, in the front of my teacher, my guru, now I'm Kazoda, as they show
my knowledge.
Kazoda,
my knowledge.
How good scholar in English his student. Fortunately, he doesn't know English, so in his eye, oh, Dalai Lama's English seems very good, but actually not. So the nuclear sort of the physics, actually one of the great achievements. And also later what you call Newton bomb. These, I think, very great sort of achievement through scientific sort of that.
Purely from scientific point of view.
Scientific point of view. But this great achievement in science and technology, instead of solving problem, but create a lot of destruction, a lot of suffering, a lot of fear. After Second World War, I think at least the European continent, I think several decades remain fear. So what's wrong? The science and technology itself, no wrong. Marvelous, very important. But thing is, user, science and technology use for constructive way or destructive way, does not depend on science and technology itself, but user, we human being, not other mammals. So we human being finds as a day's new invention, marvelous invention. So since some of these inventions brought a lot of sort of suffering, therefore now up to us. You see, these achievements should not become destructive way, but should be constructive way. That depends entirely on human being. So human intelligence, not just guarantee. No guarantee. Intelligence, you see, finds these things. The intelligence with anger, with hatred, with greed or jealousy, then these become destructive. These things is guided by a sense of responsibility for well-being of others. Then these will never be destructive. So later part of 20th century, people begin to feel this limitation of also the material value. Some, even some billionaire or millionaire, say their personal sort of belongings were. Facilities are excellent. No need to worry. But mentally, a lot of worry, a lot of stress, and often use tranquilizer, like that kind of thing. Therefore, now even in China, those wealthier families, many of them now showing interest about spirituality. So therefore, it shows limitation of material values. So I think that's very, good sign out of humanity's maturity.
Experience.
Right.
Experience.
So now this is 21st century, beginning of 21st century. More and more people now showing interest about inner values. So of course, all major religious traditions still, I think, provides millions of people hope and a purpose of life. Very good. but frankly speaking, not adequate, because quite a large portion of now nearly 7 billion human beings not much interest about religion. And quite often, you see people who have no interest about religion, they also usually is neglected about these inner values, like compassion. So therefore, now time comes. We must find ways and means to educate the whole humanity, like universally. If the method to promote these inner value based on religious faith, then it becomes narrow.